Alright boys, I wanted to show something to you. So I climbed this giant tree. This is like the tippy top of the tree. I'm about 30 feet up. There's the crow. Down there. So, there's a beautiful view here. Fear. I can fall and I can die right now. If I fall, it's not gonna be good. But I recommend everybody does this little practice. Climb a tree or do something that's a little bit adrenaline causing. That you might die, there's a risk involved. Now obviously stay safe, but it is important because it kind of feels more liberating. You feel more alive. In this tree, if I fall right now, I'm dead. But in reality, this kind of resets your whole line of thinking. If I don't fall, I have another chance. Which means that you can excel, and it is something that is very empowering. So, again, enjoy the view, and let's get in the video. Fear is the primal emotion known to men. So fear, remember when you were a kid? And you would look at like the night sky or the dark, and you'd be kind of afraid. When you like look at the like sublime, infinity, like what is infinity? Or when you first started thinking about your own mortality, like when you died. Remember when you were like a kid, you just kind of stroke you in the middle of bed, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. And you get like all fucking anxious, like, like that's all fear. And it's such a powerful emotion. But what is fear also? Because you don't like now fear is not like you might say like, oh yeah, I'm brave, I'm fearless, I'm a left-wing activist, I walk it like no. See, back in the day, yes. But now, for example, there's so many laws up, like there's literally every single government is inclined towards left-wing philosophy. So if you're trying to like protest for LGBT, right? Not that I'm hating on something, but it's like it's not really brave at this point because like there's 60% of people who are pro that. Now, for example, the people who are actually brave are those who are maybe talking about men's mental health, some controversial stuff that maybe would benefit society, but that's not necessarily what's wanting to be heard. So the truth versus what people want to hear. And then, well, what is also fear? Think about this: the fear of quitting your job. It's all about fear. Give me any self-improvement content. Think about this. Any self-improvement content. Meditation, dressing better, speaking better, having better posture. How's your posture? Oh, you straighten up. It's the beginning of the video. Better not be slouched. All of those, they all incorporate fear. If you go past your fear, you start meditating. Why? Well, because in order to start meditating, you gotta go over the fear of being considered, weird. Now, it's easier said than done. For example, if you're obviously, more attractive, and people kind of perceive you as a more handsome guy, then obviously they might think like, okay, well, maybe I'll take a look. But if you're some ugly, starting guy who's like a 2, and you start meditating, then you're just weird. But that's just the way it is. So upgrade your physicality as well. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. For example, to start meditating, you need to be fearless of being rejected by society. And your primal brain, the lizard brain, what it's thinking is it's saying, well, back in the day, if I'm not part of the tribe, well, then I get kicked out and my chances of survival go down. But there's a catch. Because now, in the modern society, that's not the case. That is not the case in the modern society. For example, those guys over there, they're gonna be fucking isolated, bro. Who cares? They don't have to be part of a tribe. I'm not with them. We have to use our prefrontal cortex a lot more, and I'll be having a book coming out soon. It's called The Chimp Paradox. It discusses all the 3 brains, the prefrontal cortex, the lizard brain, how we can use them. Super good. Stay in tune. You'll be a superior person if you do that. I mean, you kind of already are if you're watching this, but let's talk about another aspect of fear. For example, let's say wearing better clothes. Same aspect. Society might think you're weird, but it's gonna benefit your health if you wear cottons and you don't get these polyester plastic, freaking hot, stuff going in your skin. Check out Easter Generation. I did a review on it. Super book, life-changing. I can never pitch this enough. It's the best book I've ever read. Your, cotton pants or linen pants versus, again, polyester pants. A lot of people don't know that stuff. You have to be fearless. And then let's talk about the biggest one, well, smoking. You know, I don't like the whole point of smoking myself because, number one, like, again, smoking vape, it's like, that's just stupid, bro. Like, at least weed, it does nothing to your body. When you smoke vape, there's literally like, okay, you get a buzz, but so what? So what? Like, what? And you just get addicted to that stuff. But to quit smoking, sometimes, and I see a lot of people doing this, it's not necessarily because of stress. People smoke because of fear as well. And again, give me any concept, it all links back to fear. This is why it's key. I don't understand why no self-improvement YouTubers talk about this. Fear, bro. When you try to quit smoking, let's say like your principles before, like for example, I had good principles growing up. You know, my grandpa, he was like the classic 1950s gentleman in Soviet Russia. He was like, comb your hair, you know, a gentleman has got to look appropriate in any situation. Oh yeah, like that stuff. In combination of that's the past history, and then also there's the combination of people who you associate with. So for example, let's say you had a good background growing up, but then you start hanging out with bums, and you pick up the habit of smoking. That's not good, because you want to fit in, and you're fearful that if you don't smoke, you're not, like, let's say it's like you associate with a group. There's a group of kids at school you associate with, and you want to be part of that group. You know that it's like, it kind of resembles you, like 60, 70%, but it's not really who you are, but that's the best you've got. So what do? Well, you're gonna try to smoke in order to fit in that group because a lot of people in that group smokes? And you're just, oh yeah, no, it's just for stress. It's such a good, like, no. What are you doing, bro? Why? You have to be fearless. Use the bravery in order to overcome that. You don't need to smoke. Go alone, bro. Especially if you're a man. There's women who look up to you. There's children who look up to you. You empower them. And what are you doing? You're smoking? What? Don't smoke. Super, super important. Any other, like, give me any single, like going to a club, partying, same principle, fear of missing out, FOMO. I'm telling you, every single step can be improved by fear. So how do we actually solve it? Well, let me give you one thing. That'll probably solve, I would say, 50% of your fears. Right away, just smack, like right out the bat. 50% of your fears gone. You know how? Try to guess. 50th Law and Hustle Harder and Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson. Two of the best books, I think, on fear and overcoming it. Robert Greene partnered this. Robert Greene was the guy who wrote 48 Laws of Power. But aside from that book, there's one key element that literally is the biggest one of all to actually reduce that fear. What do you think it is? It's really cliche, you know it. It's getting physically fit, strong and big. And if you couple that with a teeny bit of actual, ability to fight, you're kidding me. Like, you're at the top of the game. A lot of people, when they do that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You might be like, oh, Rustam, well, you're tall. Yeah, so you're not scared because you're, no. Even if I wasn't 6'3" and if I was smaller, I would still be way more confident in any situation if I was bigger, and I'll be able to express my beliefs more. Now, I know a lot of people are clipped in our generation, but as you walk around, try this. You're in a public store. As you walk past different men around you, see if you can physically outpower them. So let's say there's a dude and I compare myself to him. If there's a fight to break down, would I be able to take him down? See what your score is. How many men can you take down? For me, it's about 95%. I know I'll either outgas them or I'll outrun them, or my arms are longer, I have more power. Now, I'm not saying like freaking do like, oh yeah, go beat them up. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, obviously don't hurt anybody, but see what you get, because I'm really curious. And once you know if your status is about 85 to 90, then you're confident, and you'll see the confident. If you're not at that level yet, then get to that level, because you'll be crazy confident. You walk with a big chest, and you know that you're gonna be at the top of your game and not a lot of people can mess with you. Let me know in the comments. Imagine this. Imagine you had a guy who's like, let's say back in the day, we're walking around with like rapiers, like swords, like fencing and stuff. We're in like Europe. And now you'd like, maybe you'd insult some guy, be like, oh, fuck off, bro, like, screw you, Imagine if all of those guys had a rapier on them. Would you be so confident to say like, oh yeah, fuck you, bro? Oh yeah, obviously, you had a rapier too, but would you take the chance of offending this guy and maybe getting pierced? Or like, shot in a duel? Probably wouldn't. That's the same exact principle. It helps you feel more confident. And a lot of guys, what they like to do is they like to go in and they kind of do this quiet mode. So they kind of like, they go to the gym, they're in their hoodies, they don't really talk a lot. Like if you're standing next to somebody, you don't automatically go and like express your views like, oh yeah, I am top G. Like, I don't know what you might say. But for example, they try to kind of go like quietly, they hustle, like, okay, I'll outsmart this guy, I'll grind them. I'm the best, I know my worth, but I'm not sharing it. That's good. There's also another way. I'm the opposite of that, which is also good. I'm more open and I'm more flamboyant about it. So for example, let's say I walk in a room and I'll start talking to somebody and I'll just put out my stuff there. I'll say, I am this. I like to, be strong. I like to have a flow state. I like to keep my testosterone up. I like to, execute stuff, ambition. And I don't care, you know why? Because I know if worse comes to worse, I'll be able to knock this dude out. Even if I was shorter and I learned like BJJ, because it's better for short people, it's better if they wrestle. Now, it might be a stereotype, but I think it's true, because I'm not the best at wrestling. Though I could wrestle. Bro, I would wrestle you from it. Let's do it, bro. Anyway, so, if we ever meet, for sure, I would wrestle you. But it is so important because now I don't care what this guy's his opinion of me is. It's some little chumper. What the like what? So what? I don't care what he thinks. Now it's gonna be, different for women. For women, I'm not gonna be like explicitly like as open as I am, especially if it's a girl I like. I'll probably, talk to her, see what she's about too. And only then, open up. But if it's not the right girl, then I'm just not even gonna talk to her in the first place. So it's important to do that. And in other terms, like for example, let's say we are talking, like for the girls, just to go back, super important. Like a lot of the girls that you meet I just had a card girl roll by. I just had this thought, bro. I'm sorry. She's like super handsome, or super pretty. Like she gets all the guys here like tip out on her. But a lot of the girls at the top who you think like are so good, the more you talk to them, the more you realize a lot of them don't really have a lot of like delayed gratification, none of that stuff. Not a lot of principles. Maybe it's in America, but that's why I say, play with American girls. A little off topic. Go to some good country, if you're a good moral man only. And you're a superior man and you penetrate your woman with love, do that, and then, get a wife there. But back to the point of fearlessness. Now, again, this also might require fearlessness. Check this out. To move to another country, to break maybe your family's tradition of not, staying in the US, marrying some other woman that will improve your life, telling your parents, having this conversation, you're not even going to go to university, that you want to pursue entrepreneurship, and you don't want to go to university. That tough conversation where you sit there, and your dad is like, okay, we're going to talk. And you sit there, and you master your chi energy, and you're sitting there, deflecting all the blows, because you're a fearless man, and you're a strong man, and you're confident in yourself. For me, I had a lot of problems with fear. When I was younger especially. Check out this beautiful view on this beautiful golf course right now. So, I was one time with my mom on a swing. And I was a little kid, I was maybe 11 or 10 years old. I was with my sisters, I was helping them, swing them, all that stuff. And I was swinging, and there's an Indian family next to us. And, they were just normal guys. There was an Indian guy who was like a computer geek or something. Not to stereotype, he was legit a computer. I think I overheard him talking about like computers, or he had like glasses, or he said like software development something. Because my mom was telling that to me at the time. She's like, oh, see, this guy's smart, software development. So we're swinging. I'm, a little guy. And then what happens is something very interesting which relates to fear. Because just to give some background, I was very scared as a child. So I grew up in a very, traumatic household. Not to be like, oh, wishy-washy, but in reality, that was the case in my situation. Because, my dad and my mom, they always fought until, my dad physically hit my mom. And then they got divorced. So I grew up in a very violent household. So whenever I was even smaller, when I was 3 or 4 years old, I would never let my mom go to the beach alone. So when she tried to go swimming, bro, I would literally start screaming and yelling so she would come back, because I thought she would abandon me. So literally never let my mom go swimming in case I wasn't seriously distracted. Only then, but still, if I found out, bro, I would she would have to get out of the water, because it was crazy. When we went to rest in Turkey, and that was the story behind my finger. In case you guys don't know, I have a little bit of a messed up finger. It was an incident in a train, but that was on one of the ways to Turkey. So anyway, it's a story for another day. So then I noticed something very interesting. My young, brain, 11-year-old brain, notices some guy who's walking around on the edges of the park. It was a public park. And suddenly he starts coming closer to us. And I'm like, well, there's no way he's coming to us specifically. Maybe he just wants, go talk to somebody. No, he comes up straight to us, to me and my mom. And he stands about 3 feet away from you. 3 feet away, that's super close, in case you guys, it's just 3 feet. So I start thinking, what the hell? I wasn't necessarily scared, or I wasn't, frightened. I was just a little bit perplexed. I was kind of uneasy. I'm like, who is this guy? What is he doing here? And then he says, hello. And the problem is, after he said hello, and after both of us said hello to him, so me and my mom, little me, he said the following phrase, which kind of made me completely be aware of the situation and how bad the consequences might have turned out for me in that case when I was a little kid. So he says, I'm just trying to be nice. Now you might say, well, what is so wrong about that? Well, yeah, obviously, there's nothing really too wrong about that, but I've been in America at that time for long enough to understand that that doesn't really happen in a typical American conversation. You don't just randomly say, oh, I'm just trying to be nice, and then give you something positive. Usually it's going to be some kind of negative outcome out of that. At this point, I'm getting completely scared, bro. I am literally sitting there, I'm starting to get goosebumps, and I'm starting to, my adrenaline is filling up, my hairs are standing up, and I was like, this is not good. And I heard about, the serial killers fucking kidnap children. I was like, dude, this is gonna be absolutely screwed. And then what he says is the next thing, which completely made me realize how much of a pussy I am, how much scared I was at that time, which obviously, I didn't know how to defend myself. I just been going to the gym for I don't know, less than 6 months at that point. I just started out. So he asks us, he says, is this guy with you? Pointing at the Indian guy. And bro, Indian guy, if you're watching this, I'm super grateful that you were there. Because I instantly, the second he said that, because I was so ready and I was so pumped and I was so tensed with the adrenaline, I said, yes, he's with us. Yeah. Well, I said it more in, my 12-year-old voice. I was like, yeah. Or 11, 12-year-old voice. I was like, yeah, he's with us. And I started moving closer to him just to pretend like he's with us. So then it actually looks more legit. And after that, he stood there for about, I think it was a minute. And it was a long ass minute. And I was literally looking for sticks and stones around me to pick up at that time, because I was so scared. And the Indian guy, I don't think he understood a lot of stuff, but he was kind of looking at us. And you know what happened finally? He left. And after he left, I instantly walked over to my mom and said, let's get out of here. And she obviously didn't understand a lot of stuff. She was like, oh, what? Oh, no, let's go to the bathroom first. And I was like, God damn it, bro. I swear, bro, I've never been to a park after that for a solid year. Because it was just such a horrible situation. The reason it all connects together is he looked at the chances. So, the Indian guy and me, and obviously, no, we weren't jacked and I wasn't jacked, but he still realized that it might be a little bit of a challenge to versus, having to go against that Indian guy and maybe going with me as well. If it was just me, some 11-year-old kid, bro, I would have been screwed. I would have been talking to you. But that was the problems you'd face, is because physicality is a massive thing, especially if you know how to fight. And if you carry, you can carry a pocket knife on you. That's why I'm grateful now. In America, the whole gun carrying thing, back to the thing of rapier. If a guy who you're about to, now obviously this doesn't apply to, mentally unstable people. I don't know, but I think that guy was mentally unstable. I don't know why he's even out there. He should have been, locked up or some shit. Maybe he's still out there somewhere. But when you know that you're physically strong and that your opponent knows that you're physically strong, that you're capable of doing damage to him, he's not gonna go attack you as easily, and your courage goes up instead of that. There's a test, I think I heard it somewhere, where let's say the prime gorilla, who's like the number one, giga chat of the super alpha guy. Let's say there's another guy who's just below him, and he's going to fight this alpha guy for the title. He's second in the tribe. His testosterone is going to go up because he's kind of on the same level, so there's a chance of beating him. But if there's this alpha gorilla, and there's this little bottom of the tier beta little chimpanzee, and this chimp wants to fight this alpha gorilla, the chimp's testosterone is going to go down just so he doesn't get killed by the alpha gorilla, because there's such a huge gap in between this. Kind of crazy. You have to be this gorilla. This is our goal.